Now, is 90 days long enough for you to actually acquire some serious numbers? Let's talk about this for a quick second. This is potentially how you, as a human being, can reinvent your entire brain, the way it thinks, the way it operates, and the way that you act in your day to day so that you can acquire a significant amount of money. Now, let's talk about this, the reinvention framework. We're just going to jump straight in. First of all, let's look at what kind of compounds this, what actually creates your decisions, what actually creates success, what enables you to take the actions you need to do in order to actually succeed in business. First, it's identity. This is the foundation. Who you are shapes everything. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And everything we're about to go through in today's video will explain that. The zone of discomfort and many other things. We've got like lots and lots of data to go over today to literally show you actionable steps that you can use. It doesn't even matter if you are in the worst mental state or physical state of your life. This will enable you to actually access the level of ability you need to succeed in business. Now, let's talk about the belief system as well. Very, very important. This is your identity. It is, because your identity is built by your beliefs, and you can consciously choose them. Most people genuinely never do. For example, I'm brilliant at sales. I'm the best at sales. I'm the best at SMMA. I'm best in business. I can handle every single problem that comes. It's fine. That's all beliefs. Now, your beliefs either benefit you or make it harder. I suggest you ensure that the beliefs you choose to attach yourself to are the ones that actually help you achieve what you need to achieve. Now, let's talk further on that. Thoughts and emotions. Thoughts and emotions are kind of what actually shape what you do. Your beliefs shape your thoughts, your emotions shape your experience daily. And if you get the beliefs right, your thoughts will follow. So what you'll find is the belief, right, comes after identity. It's all in synchronity, or however you say that word. It doesn't go back, right? It goes this way. Your identity shapes your beliefs shape your thoughts and emotions. And then your thoughts and emotions, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we've gotten to the bottom of it. Choose your actions. Now, let's ask this question here. Let's say that you're not putting in the actions that you require in order to get a good result out of your business. We have to ask yourselves, is it the very fact that you are not putting in the actual actions, or is it the previous result of not having the right identity, the right beliefs, the right thoughts and emotions? Because remember, it's a chain. We have to figure out where is it coming from. That reason why you're not succeeding isn't just in the actions. Or you may look at the results, which is what we call your external reality, and think, right, well, the fact I'm not succeeding in my SMMA business is purely down to the fact that I haven't taken the correct actions. Well, not quite. What about those belief systems, the thoughts and emotions that you're actually feeling on a day-to-day basis? Why have we not looked into that? Now let's talk about internal versus external. This is very, very important to understand. People that, I guess, understand external and not the internal will find that everything crumbles. So, for example, it's the government's fault. Oh, or social media said this, or my mentor didn't help me, or other people are succeeding but I'm not, and it's because of this person's fault. Like it's always other people. There's always a reason. It's always someone else. It's never yourself, right? You can't take accountability. There are a lot of people watching this that I know for a fact couldn't take accountability for their own actions, and that is the reason why they're in the position that they are in, because they couldn't take full accountability and decided they wanted to offset the blame onto someone else or try and bring someone else down to make themselves feel better. That is what we've got to avoid. So let's talk about the internal, which is whatever happened, now what? Who cares? Now what? What do I do next? What's the next move? We can't change what's already happened. Take full ownership of every single outcome. Regardless of whether it is your fault or not, everything needs to be your fault. You must view everything within the perspective of it was within your bubble of control. It was something that you could control. It was not out here, it was in here. You could have controlled it. You should have planned ahead, but you didn't. You didn't see that road bump coming up. The control is in your own hands. It always is. Even if something that potentially could not have stopped happened to you or occurred to you in your business, something negative, inherently negative, it was still within your control as to how you decide to deal with that or how you decide to emotionally respond to that. We have to understand that. Otherwise, you will end up saying, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, oh, it's that client's fault. Okay. It's all a lie. The first step is saying, fuck that, and I'm taking full accountability and ownership of everything. Your circumstances are not the reason you are the reason, my friend. It's not what's going on around you. It is what you are choosing to do, believe, think, identify. Now, there are two kinds of risk that I want to talk about because let's be completely honest with ourselves here. If every single one of us watching understood risk and knew exactly how to operate within the principles of risk, you'd probably be a lot further ahead in your business than you are currently now. That's assumption made that you are somewhat struggling with your business. Okay. Now let's talk about risk, because there's a few different types of risk. There's something called active risk, and then there's passive risk. The majority of people that sit and watch but don't do, currently you are enjoying yourself a nice bit of passive risk. You, by watching this video, my friend, on the old YouTube, are enjoying what we call passive risk. You're being passive. You're just watching. You're not implementing. You're not taking action. You are not reaching out. You're not doing anything with it. You do nothing, same situation. And that's how it goes. The majority of human beings do stay within passive risk because they believe that active risk is more risky than passive risk. The truth is no. You ever heard someone say what's more risky, doing nothing or doing something? This is what it comes down to, right? So starting that business, investing the money. That's the biggest one. People start the business but then don't invest the money. They don't go all in. They're not really they don't have the balls for it. And like you have to do this. There's levels to this, by the way. Like, and there always has been. Your risk tolerance will always increase slowly over time. You have to ask yourself. And I made a video a long time ago. By making this decision, regardless of the outcome being positive or negative, am I at least placing myself a step stone forward? Because to get to the other side of the river, you got to jump over step stones. You can't just like sit there and go, "Well, it's risky. I'll wait until the tide's down." Because then you're waiting months and months and months, and you might even miss that one period because you were sleeping. The point is this, right? It's much better to take that active risk, even if it goes wrong, than it is that passive risk, because the passive risk guarantees that you die average. Active risk, you might lose a bit of money and need to restart, right? The biggest risk is the risk of being completely fucking normal. Average job, average income, average life, average funeral, right? That shit genuinely haunts me. That should haunt you. Regardless of what level to success you get to, that kick, that fire should always be there. I've heard people say this to me before, where it's like, oh, well, when I get to 10K a month or 20K a month, you know what? That's good. I'll be okay then. What do you mean? Like, what you'll often find is that's a false perspective. And if it is a real perspective, then my God, like your brain needs to change, my friend, because as you grow through these levels, you should constantly be thinking, holy shit, I need to step on the gas here. I'm behind. I need to level up. I need to do more. I need to jump to the next step. I need to get 50K, 100, 300, 400, 5, a million. Like, we need to be jumping real, real fast. So fear is not real. Discomfort is, right? So the people that genuinely succeed are the ones that find discomfort in lack of action. Whereas a lot of people find discomfort in the action itself. And that's a terrible problem to have. So let's look at this. Fear is not discomfort. Fear is a psychological and physiological response to a survival instinct. Discomfort is a signal that if you stepped outside of your zone of comfort into the zone of discomfort, where often new money or new skills are acquired. It's been scientifically proven and studied that this comfort zone is a real psychological thing. And the majority of people remain within this bubble for their entire lives. And it's because you as a human being have a monkey brain that from the beginning of time has enabled you to stay in here and stay safe. That's all you're meant to do. Stay in there, reproduce, stay safe. That's it. Whereas outside, in the zone of discomfort, is where often new skills and new perspectives are found, which it simply enables you to grow, right? Now let's look at this. Dopamine is one of the biggest drivers to whether you act or do not act. Better yet, dopamine is one of the most highest likely deciding factors of sustained action. Often I find people that are able to take short-term action but cannot take that long-term action of consistent inputs and outputs over time. What is that? What is causing that? How do we solve it? It's very, very simple. This is artificial versus real dopamine. Cheap dopamine is things like junk food, gambling, alcohol, social media, videos, um, all that shit, right? Sustained but powerful dopamine are things like exercise, reading. I don't really personally enjoy that. Walks, I enjoy that. What else do I enjoy? I don't really see the morning that often, but I do like seeing the sun. I guess that's always, yeah, light is a big dopamine factor, I suppose. But here's what the dopamine levels over time genuinely look like, right? So let's say this is the majority of people. This is where they're going to see what we call a huge delta created, where there's a massive deficit in here of basically you creating this massive artificial high high dopamine, right? So your dopamine remains up here. It should be consistent around the baseline, or at least fluctuate around the baseline. What happens when you trigger the dopamine is it always comes back to the crash, and that's the low often people feel, where they then don't take action. What you need is a small delta where the dopamine is maintained consistently. So this is the dopamine delta problem. When your brain is used to massive spikes from social media, junk food, sugary drinks, all that stuff, doing real work feels impossible by comparison. The goal is not zero dopamine. Let me make that very, very clear. It's a small, sustained dopamine delta, right? So working hard feels easy, not because you're basically comparing it to like crack cocaine, if I'm able to say that. Um, you're just essentially removing the artificial, completely removing the artificial. And then the reality, which is your work, it actually becomes what your body and your mind actually selects. And then we move on to something called the habit loop. And let me tell you something. The habit loop and everything that I'm discussing in today's video, if you've watched to this point and you're not going to continue watching, there's no point you even watching in the first place. These last things actually enable you to even integrate this into your reality, into your day to day, and enable you to receive results that people within my group have achieved way quicker than you physically ever could. I had to pause it for a second just because I had to find it, but here you go. You see this huge list of results of cash coming in, 6K 7 days, 4K 7 days, 1K, and then consistent revenue. Like we have an ungodly amount of screenshots. Do you know why they were able to do that? Well, part of it was this. They actually understood how to build the habit loop, and then they had the actual resources and systems that I gave them to enable them to actually successfully run their SMMA business, right? So you have to, without this, like nothing works. I can give you everything, I can give you lumps, like massive pile of things to succeed with. But if you don't know how to use it, guess what? You're going to be pulled below that baseline every single time. Yeah. So you have to choose what you want to be addicted to and engineer the loop. Because otherwise, no matter how much help you get, how much resources you acquire, you pay, mentorships, courses, communities, groups. Um, what are the other common things? Too, YouTube as well. YouTube's the other one. Like it doesn't even matter how much you look and research and watch. If you do not have a habit loop in place, my friend, you can't do anything with it. So it works like this. Step one is the cue, the ritual, and then the reward. So the cue is the trigger that tells your brain we're doing this now. The ritual is the actual habit itself, and then the reward is the feel-good signal that basically locks the loop in forever. It says, "Great, let's do that again next tomorrow. Let's do that. Let's do that again. Let's do that again. Let's do that again." Like a human body always, it's a survival instinct, isn't it? So the real example here is deep work habit loop. So you have caffeine, dark room, binaural sounds, whatever you use. 4 hours of focused deep work is the ritual, and then the reward is go outside, get sunlight. Problem is, you guys might be doing, let's say the cue and the ritual, but then you don't relate it to the reward on the other side, which is ultimately the king factor. That's what produces the results. If you do not do that, you haven't designed a loop. You've broken it at this point, and you're not getting addicted to the right thing. That's the reason it doesn't work. We don't really need to talk over that one. The only thing I want to talk about here is the next section here, which is what we call the pit of despair, or the valley of despair, as it's often known as. That's really, really simple. Like the majority of people will start in business, work incredibly hard, not see that instant result, and then completely give up. For a lot of people, they will never be able to see the other side of success simply because they couldn't persevere long enough. And I know everyone says this, but it is genuinely true. You have to be able to take an enormous amount of sacrifice, an enormous amount of loss and stress and pressure to enable yourself to actually reach the other side of what you're trying to even achieve in the first place. And that's the truth. The reason it's so idolized by a lot of people is because it is difficult to obtain. So let's look at this. Most people do quit in the valley of despair. Now, I'd rather make my own graph. I don't really like that graph, so let's make my own down here. I'm going to call this is going to be time. This is time. And then this is going to be the, what should we call this? This is M for motivation, right? Or success, we call that. Motivation, success, happiness, whatever. Right, so this is what the graph looks like. Absolute motivation. This is what we call uninformed optimism, where you're just optimistic. You heard about this magical thing online and you're very, very optimistic. Then you have informed optimism, which could even spike the dopamine a little bit more. Then you maybe make that first attempt, and then you have that realism kick in a little bit. But you're still, you're still a bit excited. You watch that next YouTube video. Oh, then you've tried, and it just won't work for you. It won't work for you at all, right? I'm going to make an extension to my graph here. And this is where the actual money is made, on this purple section. Oh, maybe it's working. Oh, it works. Holy shit, it works. No problem. Off we go, right? Look at this trend. Now your motivation and success sustains, but not only sustains, actually increases over time with the more results that you actually see within your business. Now, let me draw the viewer's attention to one section here upon this graph, which is going to be the valley of despair. You see this group here? This is what we call the valley of despair, the VOD. The majority of people do quit there because this section here is quite enjoyable. They get to the valley of despair and they go and they found something else. And then they get there again and then they find something else, jump in a new business model. And then maybe they find a new squeaky clean way of doing it. And then they just end up in this loop. They loop, they loop, they loop, they loop, they loop. They never actually get to the success over here. Like all of us are playing the game over here. Not all of us, but some of us are playing the game over here, while the majority play it over here. And it's just a fucking mess. So that was my demonstration through the graph. I didn't really want to use a static graph. I'd rather actually go through it myself. So how do we even integrate this in our day-to-day life in order to succeed? Well, I do have step-by-step things that I need the viewer to prioritize in order for their physical and mental health to be usable and actually actionable in the day-to-day. So let's look at this. It sounds cliche, but it's very, very simple, right? It's simple as fuck, and that is the point. It doesn't come from micromanaging your day-to-day. But you do need to have an understanding of what you're doing. Your sleep needs to be good. Your deep work needs to be good. And do that first thing in the morning. Scientifically, your brain power is most optimal between like those first 2 hours of waking in the morning. So in the first 2 hours waking in the morning, don't spend an hour in the shower. Just get bang, open up the laptop, get to work. When it comes to health and exercise, this is also very, very important, right? Gym a minimum or exercise. I say exercise daily. I don't think you do 5 times a week. I'd say exercise daily because if you feel like shit physically, you will perform like shit mentally and emotionally as well, which is not useful, especially not when you have a high pressure, high work, and like high stress environment where you got to deliver, you got to work, you got a lot of people responding to you. Sorry, not responding to, reliant on you. Then you got everything else you got to take care of as well, right? So what deep work actually means. A lot of people don't understand what deep work looks like. For me, it might be something different to you, but deep work is very, very simple. Now, I'm going to be giving you away a piece of source here. If you're not using something called brain.fm, search it up. It's 7 euros a month. I can use this shit all the time. If you put it on deep work mode, what it uses is like it's like binaural beats or um, audio tracks that essentially sync your brain to that of deep, like a deep focus state. So I'm just looking at the planes over here. That of a deep focus state, which is what you need to be able to have that consistent, sustained deep work and output. So find yourself a comfortable seat, a good place in the house, good desk. Open up the laptop, get yourself a coffee, put on the deep music, maybe a glass of water too. Go to the bathroom so that you don't need to get up for another 2 hours, and you can just sit there and work. I hit my head before it fucking hurts. And that's the point of deep work, is so that you can actually focus on that sustained task for a significant length of time. Now, what I did also want to mention to you is this, right? You can use all of these techniques here, but the very truth is, if there's no consistency with the output that you put into work, you will see no benefit, like none at all. So you have to be consciously aware of what's going on. What are you even doing in your day to day? A lot of people just wake up and waltz through their day, and then they get to the other side and go, holy shit, where did the day go? Because you weren't consciously aware of what you were actually doing. So step one is being completely consciously aware of what are you doing day to day? What are you doing day to day? Analyze your day. The best thing I recommend you do, if you're using Claude AI, I do recommend you straight up get yourself a list like this, and you just go like this. You go, okay, first 15 minutes of the day, I did this. Then after that, we had 20 minutes of this. Then we had 5 minutes of this. Like, get really granular. Then I had a coffee for 5 minutes, made a coffee. Then I went to the bathroom. Then I had a 15-minute break. Then I did 2 hours of deep focused work. Right? Do you see what I'm doing here? And then what you can do is you can do it for the next day and the next day and the next day. Plug it into Claude AI and say to it, right, Mr. AI, analyze my behavior and my routine and tell me how can I actually improve to enable higher efficiency output within my day. And what Claude AI is going to do is completely rearrange your day from top to bottom and say, you spent this much time doing this much doing that. Here's my recommendation. Here are your bottlenecks, and this is why your day to day is not working. This is why your dopamine is sustained high. Give it information on what you're drinking, eating, watching, doing, all of these things, what music you're listening to, things like that. All of these artificial dopamine, you kind of want to write down into the list so that the AI can say to you, listen, right, tomorrow when the sun rises, what I need you to do is first of all, wake up, do this. Then I want you to tackle your highest input tasks, such as this, right? It will give you a list of things to do so that you can kind of manufacture the most optimal way of you acting in your day to day life. That alone, by using the Claude AI technique I just recommended you do, a data set is 3 to 4 days. The more days you do it for, where you write down in your Notion document, and you have to time yourself. Literally, get a Google stopwatch open, on your watch if you have a stopwatch on there, and then time yourself as you go through your entire day. And just tell Claude, listen, I spent the last 15 minutes doing this. I stopped to have dinner and then watch the television for 15 minutes. You got to tell it all this stuff so that it can actually give you genuine data and feedback so that you are able to take the actions that you need to take for the next 90 days in order to achieve incredibly good results like the other people I was showing you before. Like I was just, oh, holy shit, here we go, over here. All of these damn results, like Jesus Christ, insane. The only reason they're getting there is not because they got the right information, and that only, that's a piece of the puzzle. It is purely down to the fact that they are able to action on that information. If I were to hand you all the information you needed to get to 10 billion fucking dollars a year, would you just be able to bang just like that do it? No, a lot of the time, the reason why people do not succeed, even with the right information, is because they do not know how to action it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions on that or you are interested in joining this group, just message me on Instagram and I will get straight back to you. There is a video link down below on exactly what business model we run. Thanks so much.